Welcome back to another threat assessment video. And today, chosen by community poll, we are going to be talking about Nightscape Familiar. Nightscape Familiar is a 2-mana, 1 and 1 black, 1/1 zombie that reads, blue spells and red spells you cast cost 1 generic less to cast. And it has pay 1 generic and 1 black, and you can regenerate Nightscape Familiar. This means the next time the creature would be destroyed, that turn, it isn't. Instead, you tap it, remove all the damage from it, and then you remove it from combat. Now, I must admit, I was a little disingenuous in my poll because while it is a zombie, it's not something you would typically see in a zombie strategy. Nightscape Familiar is a perfect example of a cost reduction spell, and although it is in black, it reduces the cost of blue spells and red spells you cast simultaneously. Almost like having a sapphire medallion and a ruby medallion on a body on the field at the same time. Now, you might be thinking, why is this a big deal if my opponent has this 1/1 that simply makes their spells just 1 cheaper? Well, in my opinion, this is actually a pretty big deal. This turns 4 mana worth of spells across 2 cards into 2 mana worth of spells across 2 cards potentially. And it can turn 2 4-drops that would regularly cost 8 mana into 2 3-drops that cost 6. And this can be paired almost however you like. Turning a 2-drop into a 1-drop is a rather big deal, and for each mana that you cut off of a spell, even by generic, presents a big advantage at the table. For instance, if there was a Helm of Awakening on the table and all spells cost 1 less to cast, how quickly do you think that game would devolve into madness, with all players being able to cast their most powerful spells 1 turn earlier? Nightscape Familiar lets 1 player have this advantage. This is not something you want your opponents to have. Cheating mana cost and aggressive acceleration are some of the most powerful things in the game. Now you might be thinking, this is on a creature. It should be easy enough to kill. That's true. But keep in mind, regenerate will nullify some forms of removal unless you have negative counters or the ability to exile the creature, or a wrath effect such as Wrath of God that negates regeneration. Nightscape Familiar is going to be a much harder card to remove. So you might want to hold up your Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile for Nightscape Familiar. The best thing about Nightscape Familiar is its original printing came in a cycle. So there are 5 of these familiars printed in their original shard color pairings. For instance, in my Tana and Timna deck, I play the Naya and the Jund paired familiars, each one capable of making my commanders that much cheaper to cast. What are your thoughts on Nightscape Familiar or the other cards in the Familiar cycle? Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, and let's keep assessing.